Who should rule in King's Landing for Team Green? Is it Alicent, Aemond, Larys, someone else?
Is King Daemon a traitor to his wife Rhaenyra?
And which reality home fix-it show should Harrenhal be on? The Property Brothers or Fix It or Flip It?
All that and more on this week's episode of The
Joffrey of Podcasts.
I've been very busy. Many important matters require a king's attention. I'm king now. King now. I am king. I am kiss it. Kiss it again when I return. Your fingers or your king doesn't discuss battle plans with stupid girls. Your fingers or your tongue. I am the king. I'm telling mother.
My name's Bubba, and with me as always is someone who betrays their own smallness. It's Catfish. Catfish, we just saw episode 5 of season 2 of House of the Dragon. Holy
Yes, we did.
Smokes. That is the fallout from last week. R.I.P. Rhaenys. Aegon is a fried egg. I mean, he's not doing too good. We're going to be breaking down episode 5 of season 2 of House of the Dragon. If you haven't seen it, skedaddle, because it's going to be spoilers. We're past the midway point. We're going to play our classic match games. We're going to talk about the characters, talk about which team won the week, Team Black or Team Green. But first and foremost, we always love to give you our ratings. Catfish, what is your rating out of 10 for episode 5?
Well, Bubba, I know that as we are, as described, double P.
Double P.
Yeah, professional podcasters, triple P, professional paid podcasters, that we are supposed to judge these shows objectively.
Yes.
But I have to say, this is the first time I think I'm doing this ever. I'm going to give 2 different ratings. I'm going to say for this episode, if you're Team Black, this was 6.5. And if you're Team Green, this was 9.5. Double D's out of 10.
Double D's?
Yes, double D is, as we all know, is a sport that is usually very dangerous to play, but seems to be very popular recently. It's called Daemon dissing. Usually, it's a life-threatening event, but everyone seems to be doing it. We got Strong's doing it. We got random Bracken woman. That's what I'm going to call her. Random Harry Bracken woman.
It is sweeping the Riverlands as a game.
And
Everybody loves to do it.
my boy Strong. Plus, just a delicious slam. You know, Bubba, there is almost nothing better than saying something, delaying, and then modifying what you just said that totally flips it on its head. Like when I say that when it comes to podcasting, you are a master baiter. So when Strong says you are the king consort, he disses it.
Oh,
so
my
Bubba,
gosh.
everybody wants that piece of crap Harrenhal. And I just have to say, it almost feels kind of like piling on here. And that is why I gave it 2 separate reviews. I mean, things are so bad. And I think even the fig leaf of hope at the ending, you've got to be like, if you're steeped in this world, it's like, all right, we're going to pick somebody up who's like, I mean, we all know Game of Thrones, there's like bastards littered around the entire countryside. But do they have enough blood? Doesn't seem reasonable. Doesn't seem like there's enough time. They seem like they're at their very last hope. So I'm going to say the only way that you could, I would say your enjoyment of this episode almost relies purely on which team you were on, Bubba.
Oh, okay.
But who cares what I think, Bubba?
Not me.
Let's go right to the listeners. Oh, no, I mean, what do you think, Bubba?
A year and a half of covering this show. Listeners may get sick of me always saying, I just prefer Team Green to watch. They're more enjoyable to watch. I know those characters. I know that side of the show. This Sir Alfred, who has kind of been in so many episodes and being a real jerk, he's still a jerk, but I never can remember his name, which tells you something about Rhaenyra's council there. Her small council is filled with, dare I say it, nobodies.
Bubba, the real question here is,
Yeah.
do they even hire the same background actors to portray the small council? I agree with you. They care so little about developing them.
Once again, Sir Alfred has been a jerk in all these episodes. So the fact that this episode, to me, when I look at the notes, I can tell this was really focused on on Rhaenyra's squad, on Team Black, on the Blacks, they had a rough week. They lost a dragon and a loyal member in Rhaenys, so naturally it should focus on them. Daemon's Weirwood tripping is just not as engaging as it should be. I am going to give this episode 8 double A's out of 10, though.
Oh, wait, double A's?
That's Aemond's ascension. Aemond is rocking it up the charts. You know, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. Nobody thought Aemond had a line. You know, nobody said, oh, yes, he should follow Viserys. But he is following Viserys because he's going to be the next in line to rule. Now, that said, Aegon, his older brother, is kind of truly the one who's taking on Viserys's role. Why? Because like his father, Aegon now has about half a face he could show in public.
Oh.
He should get his dad's old mask and start wearing it because he's a little crispy, a little well done there. So
you think he should start training for Phantom of the Opera roles, Bubba?
He should. He'd be like, oh, this is how my dad did it. Where's my dad's cane? Where's my dad's mask? Let's do it. Listen, I think it's good. I think they are building the Blacks. All this time I've been saying, give me something about Jace. Give me something about Jace. Jace, once again, he's kind of a rebellious, goody two-shoes teen. So there is something with Jace. We are getting to know Baela a bit more. Rhaena had a scene where if she's going to kind of carry her side of the show at the Vale at the Eyrie in the Vale with the errands, you know, she's got to come alive. So Team Black has got to come alive. And outside of kind of the Blacks we know of Corlys, Rhaenyra, and Daemon, now it feels like we do have some. Like, would you say Simon Strong is on the Black team? What would you say about Simon Strong? Like, he's great. He's been there less time than some of the others, but like we know Simon Strong. We get him, right?
Right, but we also know that his character belies his name, and he's going to have nothing of importance to do in this. Now, look, we do have Baela, spoiler alert, who the scene between her and Corlys was dynamic tonight. And so that's the kind of stuff we're talking about.
Yes.
Look, let's bring in these younger kids, and let's do it by having them talk some smack to their parents. We had Jace do it. That scene with Jace and Rhaenyra was great. It was the first time we saw him like show that he was really an adult and not just kind of like pouting, oh, my mom doesn't let me do anything. He was smart, you know, crafty. He showed something. So, you know, again, even though they're almost cartoonishly down in this episode, we did have some what I thought was some good development from this.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. So I did go 8 out of 10. So in other words, they're growing on me. They're not there yet. They're not equal to Team Green as far as fun to watch, but they're trying to get there. And if we consider Simon Strong on Team Black, then they're growing. Let's give them a tip of the cap. They are growing. Hey, we love to say on this podcast, who cares what we think? Listeners, we want to know what you think. You guys are great about playing along with the match game, but we also really do want your feedback about the episodes. If you want to tell us how you thought about the episodes, hey, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit that like button, go down in the comments and tell us what you thought about it. Tell us that we're right. Tell us about that we're wrong. We are just one opinion of many. We want you to join in and give us your thoughts, your insight, your analysis that is not currently coming out of our mouths. You can also reach us if you're listening on audio podcast. Hey, go to Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Facebook at Double PHQ, the word double, the single letter P for podcast, HQ for headquarters, at Double PHQ on all social media. Jump in and tell us what's going on.
I completely love that. And Bubba, I don't know if it was for this podcast or not, but we had someone share some super thanks with us this week for one of our podcasts. And what that means is they somehow just dropped some cash to us, which was super awesome. Bubba, I should say that these listeners, by voting with their wallets, should be able to say how long our public pleading for posting about us is. In other words, if you give us $10, we won't beg next podcast.
No, we'll beg for 10 minutes. The more you give, the longer we'll say.
Your choice. You somehow strangely send us money through YouTube, and I don't mean that it's strange you send us money. I didn't realize you could send people money through YouTube, But if you send us, you can say, I either want you to not promote yourselves at all or promote yourselves for 25 minutes. It's a minute per dollar either way. But Bubba,
you know what? What's so funny is us promoting ourselves is like we're doing nothing because, it's like you're already listening to the podcast. All right, listen, enough silliness. Hey,
let's go to more silliness. So let's start off with our match game. The match game was a brilliant move, and this is why Bubba makes all that sweet, sweet cash, because he came up with this idea, and people are loving it. It's growing every week. The match game, Bubba, do you want to read this first one here?
I do, and let me say that what is fun is we record this podcast seconds after we get done watching, and so throughout the podcast, we get answers all the time. Listeners, please, 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 please tell us your thoughts on the match game.
And if you don't get them in by the end of the episode when we're taping, we always read next week's, but they're funnier when they're faster.
Okay, so
just like any kind of sick comedy, it's funnier when it's faster.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
The Maesters looked at King Aegon, and they diagnosed that he'd been blanked. The Maesters looked at King Aegon. They diagnosed that he'd been
well done.
Very good. He was done well.
He was well done. I would think, Bubba, I always love reading the subtitles and especially when there's things happening. In parentheses, the subtitles for when they took off Aegon's armor was pus squelching. So, Bubba, well done. Yeah. I was proud of my answer. And also, I'm hoping that I'll get I will get a bell rung. I'm hoping someone else will come with it. Okay, now I'm going to read it for you, Bubba.
Sure.
The Maesters looked at King Aegon. They diagnosed that he'd been
chicken fried.
Bubba, this is an
country fried. Either way,
you're from the South, so chicken fried human is definitely a perfect answer for you.
It's something you get at the Waffle House at 2 a.m. That's what I'm saying.
All right, Bubba, let's see if anybody matched him. Get that bell ready.
I'm getting it ready, and I think this is pretty darn close. At Dooley's left legs, they diagnosed King Aegon had been medium to well done, but with a little pink on the inside.
Dooley, you know what? This is what we're talking about when we say that our listeners are funnier than we are, because Dooley just came over the top of me on that one, because that's just beautiful.
Okay, here we go. Let's see if you consider this a match. The Maesters considered King Aegon had been overdone. That's by Before the Dragon Pod. I'm giving that a ding.
Well done. I like it. All right, Endless Mike 03 says that he diagnosed he'd been a fried egg. Get it, AEG? Oh, that is punishing and delicious.
Okay, hey, here we go. The Maesters decided that this is from Jack Klompus at PTMac11. The Maesters decided that King Aegon had been doing too many chemical peels.
Yes, and then Bubba, I'm even prouder.
Yeah.
These next two are not only close, but they're both triple B's by our listeners. All right, so first we're going to do Hamlet is dead and Hamlet is dead. It says the Maesters looked at King Aegon. They diagnosed that he'd been burned, baby, burned.
Now, Disco Inferno.
So good. And then get the bell ready to match. Hamlet is dead. Link Hogthrob at Match Test Lab said he'd been burned, broken, and betrayed. Oh, that is good. Adding the extra stuff. And then another B. This is so funny. Yep. My boy Nick Fortuna said they diagnosed he'd been Burger Kinged, cooked your way.
That's at Nicholas Fortuna on Twitter.
You know what?
One more.
I just want to say, last week, I I feel like I gave BT Mac 11 all the love. He tickled my funny bones last week, but this week, it's gonna be hard for anyone to beat Nick Fortuna's Burger King cooked your way. So the last one we have is at Studebaker, Mark Studebaker. They diagnosed he'd been s'mored.
He'd been s'mored. Oh my gosh! Because you like the marshmallow to have a little black burnt on it. Oh my gosh!
And then gooey on the inside. You want the inside to squelch.
Oh my gosh. Listeners, this is the match game. We play it every week. Later on in this podcast, we're going to read some brilliant answers we got to last week's match game questions.
Holy cow.
Follow us. Give us your insights, your poor taste. We want all of it. So, oh my gosh. So good. Okay, hey, let's get to what we normally get to after the first match game because we've been so silly. It is time to get serious, Catfish. And we were both pretty high on this episode, especially you if you're on Team Green in your rating. So let's hear it. It was a long episode, over an hour in length. What was the best scene, the best moment, in your opinion, of the episode?
Well, I mentioned it earlier. Although I did love the scene between Jace and Rhaenyra, the one that really spoke to me was Corlys and Baela. Corlys has been on the outside. Looks like he's going to be brought in a little bit more. And to see Baela developed, we need more people that we care about. And she was awesome. The scene was awesome. The character is awesome.
Yes.
I am all in. She had an interaction with Jace early in the episode that was great, but this one between her and Corlys, her telling Corlys, yeah, you know what? You left us once. Get your squid together.
Let me say this, that for me, the kind of the biggest moment in it is she's like, yeah, your wife, my grandma, Rhaenys, died, but she died fighting on a dragon. And then she says, that's how she wanted to die. And I thought, Baela, let's not give the seven gods any ideas. At this rate, this is how everybody's going to die.
I mean, she's so boss. She's like,
she is.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, I know you want me to be your heir. That ain't my gig, bro. All right, Bubba, what about you? What was your favorite scene of the episode?
Well, this is real tricky because I'm not sure the scenes were that great, but there were two moments in two different scenes. So I'm going to cheat and say two different moments. The first one was in the King's Landing Team Green Small Council. When the Small Council is talking about stuff, and if you pay attention, it is incredibly important. War strategy. What are we going to do? How are we going to handle this? What are we going to do? But the way the camera focuses on Alicent, and it's like their voices kind of get muddled as we are watching her as she is, would you say, snapping, sick of this crap? Like how would you describe her? However you would describe her, it was fascinating. I was pulled in.
I would say she was being marginalized. And so that moment, I think that was a great representation of it. It's just like there's nothing she can do to affect the outside world. So she's being marginalized. It was great. I mean, there was a lot of no women in war talk tonight. It was I would have very, very upsetting.
And then my second moment, so that was a moment that was just like, okay, this is a real serious show. This is a serious, well done show that we could have a moment like that. The second one, when I go, oh snap, in the show notes, that's what I mean. Like, okay, this is making me sit up. This is like, what's going on? And Daemon, he's kind of been skirting around this for a bit, but Daemon pretty much just saying, yeah, guess what? It's me. Yes, I'm here for, in air quotes, Rhaenyra and her claim. But guess what? This is for me. I didn't even write a no snap when he had a dream theoretically with his mother, a wet dream starring his mother. What did make me go, oh snap, was him putting it out there, not being subtext. It is text. I'm king. The people won't listen to a woman. Rhaenyra, when I march on King's Landing, she's welcome to join me, but it's for me. Holy smoke. So many people have been down on Kristen Cole, and I'm not saying not without reason, but people have been kind of always trying to see the good in Daemon. I want to know what people are going to say, because we asked it at the beginning of the show. This is traitorous. This is, if you've bent the knee to the queen, oh snap. I want to know, listeners, you tell me. Do you still like Daemon? Is this traitorous? Is Rhaenyra going to have to take his head? Going to have to fight him in addition to Team Green? Oh my goodness. So those two moments, I couldn't choose between them. They were both brilliant in their own way.
All right, love it. Love it, Bubba. All right, well, wait, I know, are we going to move on to match game 2, or do you have what I like to call some double C's?
Double C's?
Yeah, catfish questions.
Oh, well, okay, yeah. So we still haven't seen Otto. So I asked you this last week. When are we going to see Otto?
Where the F is Otto? I mean,
where in the world is Otto Hightower?
Bubba, wherever he is, I'm just going to make this prediction. I'm rarely right, but I'm going to give my 100% conviction on this. Wherever he is, he's planning to take Harrenhal.
Everybody's doing it.
Yeah, I know. That's why I can give you my ironclad guarantee.
Let me tell you, if you are Otto, not being on the show is kind of the smartest, safest way to be for your character. You know what I mean? If you want your character to live and not get in trouble and not do anything, stay on, take episodes off. Very smart of Otto. I got 2 more questions for you, Catfish. Mm-hmm. And this is, again, sometimes listeners may not like to watch the next up on the show, but we heard it. The Maester says, we don't know if King Aegon's ever going to wake up. Is King Aegon going to wake up? And if he does, what's he going to do when he sees his brother acting as, king in his place? And could he do anything because he's in such bad physical shape? How do you think these brothers are going to reunite, if they're going to reunite?
Well, first of all, I guess now that he hasn't died, it'd be more interesting to watch him with his squelching pus and try to retake the throne. The real question is, does he realize what happened? Is he going to buy Aemon's look? The dragon just blew a little wide there. Like,
look, I can't control him.
He's presumably people saw it from the sky, so at least some people might have a if that wasn't outright aggressive, it was reckless at the very least. So I think that will be interesting. But before this, I had assumed that Aemond would be better than Aegon at this kind of fighting and war, just because he's just so ruthless. So that remains to be seen, though. Now that he's actually in charge, but I do think, sadly, we're going to have crispy Aegon around for a little while.
All right, and then my final question. We asked these questions of Catfish because he has not read George R.R. Martin's A Fire and Blood, Wikipedia book on what happens of the histories of House Targaryen. And then let's just go big picture. Okay. Who is the next named character to die? And what I mean by that, I'm going to keep pointing out Sir Alfred Broom, who, is kind of who's been sent to Harrenhal. Certainly, if he says the wrong thing to Daemon, we'll see how Sir Alfred does. But, we just lost Rhaenys. Who do you imagine is the next kind of main character who's going to fall in this terrible civil war?
Well, I just have to assume, and I'll say it one more time, how almost cartoonishly down Team Black is, so that I assume that to balance the scales, the next named person to die will be on Team Green. So I am going to go with, now that Aemon's taken control, if he has, I don't think we super need Kristen Cole anymore. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say Kristen Cole.
I think that's certainly a good. The biggest thing is what you just said. Team Black lost Luke and his dragon. They lost Rhaenys and her dragon. At a certain point, it's like this isn't going to be a war so much as a slaughter.
Right. They're having a real hard time. Daemon's method of persuasion is not working its intended effect. They are super down right now.
Yeah, let me ask you this. Then this is a bonus Catfish question. If you are Aemond, you've seen Vhagar just wreck shop. Why not just fly Vhagar to Dragonstone and end this, right? Like, what is the, it doesn't seem like Vhagar is stoppable. If you have reports that Daemon and his dragon are at Harrenhal, then okay, well, Jace has a dragon, but it's kind of small, Rhaena or Baela, or Rhaena doesn't have one, Baela has one that's kind of small. Admittedly, Rhaenyra's dragon itself would be big, and maybe attacking 3 on 1 is tough, but I don't know. Vhagar does what Vhagar wants to do. Vhagar is Michael Jordan in the documentary saying, and I took that personally, like, why not just get on Vhagar and end this thing, man? Oh, my goodness.
Because if there's any plan that he would have regarding Vhagar, it would be to go take Harrenhal.
No, that's right. Right. Go take, right. He's like, I'm really up. Everybody's upset.
For some reason, people think that the linchpin to winning this war is getting this wrecked castle.
Now, let me say that they don't explain this blatantly on the show. But if you kind of look at a map, and they keep saying us or Jason Lannister has armies at Casterly Rock in the west, you realize that to get them to King's Landing, he would have to march through the Riverlands. So that does make a lot of sense that, like, hey, if we have armies in the Riverlands, it would stop the Lannister forces from come defending them. Of course, the fact is that now we've had 3 episodes at Harrenhal, and nobody's, the Riverlands isn't organized, so the Lannister army could just march through real easy. So, yeah.
Well, it's clear that everyone has that everyone has a much more inflated idea of Harrenhal than actually exists. I guess
it's positioned on the map.
Ravens haven't gotten around somehow.
No. Hey, if you have not read the books and you want to answer some of the Catfish's questions, please do. We want to hear from you. You know how to tell us what you think at PHQ YouTube comments. Let's go.
All right, Bubba, even though you came up with this, I'm going to read the match game question 2 first. All right. Daemon could be experiencing dragon dreams, but some might say he's experiencing blank.
Wow.
Wow. All right, here we go, Bubba.
Here we go.
Daemon could be experiencing dragon dreams, but some might say he's experiencing
family reunions.
All right, Bubba, we'll see if you match. Go ahead and ask the question of me, and then I'll get my answer, and then we'll get to our much better listener answers.
Prince/King Consort Daemon could be experiencing dragon dreams, but some might say he's experiencing
just a real heavy trip, man.
Hey, man.
I mean, damn,
the good stuff. He's got the good stuff, man.
Yeah. All right, Bubba, let's go to our listeners. They're so good. All right, Daemon could be experiencing dragon dreams, but some might say he's experiencing a weirwood whip. That's before the Dragon podcast. That's a double W, a weirwood whip. All right.
These next 2 are pretty good. You see these next 2?
Night Wolf Nim says, but some might say he's experiencing mommy issues. That's Nicole. And Helen Hunt Pants at Hunt Pants says, some might say he's experiencing familiarity. Ring the bell, Bubba.
The familiarity is the best.
Familiarity. All right, and here we go. This could be another match.
Oh, no.
Nicholas Fortuna and Nick Fortuna. Broad and hard. That's a triple F. But some might say he's experiencing familiar fornication fantasies. Yes.
Oh, my God. All right, so Jack Klompus, what is he experiencing? He's experiencing cellophane flowers of yellow and green towering over his head.
Yes, that's so. What he's saying is he's experiencing a good trip. That's Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. But Analyst Mike 03 says he's experiencing maternal nocturnal emissions. Yes.
How terrible. How terrible.
No, that is delicious. Bubba, Hamlet is dead. And Hamlet is dead. So he's experiencing a hot, wet Westerosi summer.
Oh man, Hamlet is dead. That touches my 80s love and heart. And of course, Dooley's left legs also has a triple F, Catfish.
Triple F.
Daemon's experiencing filthy Freudian fantasies.
Oh, I think you ring a bell. This is so good. Everybody did so much better than I did on this one.
Okay, hey, Catfish, do you want to talk about Team Black or Team Green? And which one do you want to break down first in this episode?
Oh, Bubba. Let's you know what? Let's break down Team Black first if we can.
Sure. Just
because they have, I mean, I want to end with someone who's having a good episode, and that is almost the entirety of Team Green. Well, excepting for Allison. And
All right, so Team Black is we start. Corlys is devastated. Rhaenyra is looking out over the bay, thinking, "What the heck is going on?" Her small council, filled with these nameless SOBs, are just fighting. I mean, but they do give a pretty good previously on when they say our largest dragon is killed. Kristen Cole is strutting around the Crownlands like he owns them. We still don't have an army, and guess what? Prince Daemon left because of a marital spat. I mean,
well, even though we don't know much about these council members, there's a couple of them that have some priceless reactions during this whole thing. They bow their heads and are almost like pulling away from the table, expecting maybe some sort of fight after this, because this guy is really calling out Rhaenyra. And she says, hilariously says, "Do you take issue with me?"
Right.
I wanted him to say, "Well, you're the only one married to Daemon, aren't you? I mean, who do you think I'm taking issue with? Nameless guy number one over here?
Hey, now.
Guy number two?" I mean,
hey, now. I thought you were going to say Sir Alfred Broom was going to do a spit take. Are you taking issues with me? Of course I'm taking issues with you. I mean, oh my goodness. And this is sexist, which is in some ways, he's like, women, they don't know war. But Rhaenyra's got the right of it. Dude, we've had 80 years of peace. She said it in the last episode.
Yeah, exactly.
None of us know war. I forget who, but somebody said, listen, it was her Kingsguard, one of her Kingsguard, the one whose family is from Duskendale, Darkland, Sir Darkland. He's like, listen, we've got to answer Rook's Rest and Duskendale. And people want to fight, but, to give Rhaenyra her due, what fight? They don't have an army. What are you going to do? They've got dragons. She could send Baela and Jace out, but with, once again, the big dog Vhagar out there,
here's the other thing, right?
Rhaenyra her due. There doesn't seem like a great, this is the automatic move here.
No, there isn't. And even her council is divided. I mean, some people are like, we got to answer. And the other ones are like, hey, let's just write that off, okay? We lost that one. Let's not go throwing good money after bad. But it seems like they all kind of agree that we need that a dude who's never fought is better than a woman who's never fought. And, to give partial due to that, Rhaenyra does say later on, this is not how I was trained. If I was brought up as a man to be the heir, I would have been schooled in tactics. I would have been told a lot of political stuff. Instead, I needed to look at Facebook pages of like eligible princes for me to marry.
None of this makes sense. And because there's no direct, do A, do B, do A, then do B. There's no kind of direct plan.
Right.
The most loyal people to her own son, and her I got to figure out how, I guess it's her stepdaughter is Baela. Like, they're coming up with plans on their own. Jace is like, well, hey, I always love to talk about the maps and say, well, if you're in the north, you can either take the King's Road, which leads you directly to King's Landing, or if you can get across the Frey Bridge, that brings you from the north pretty much directly into the Riverlands. And so Jace is like, hey, I talked up the Starks. They're on our side. As long as the Freys are still on our side, the Northmen can use the bridge and come directly to the Riverlands, which is a fancy way of saying they have a quicker line to Harrenhal maybe, kind of, sort of. Harrenhal, to be honest, is probably quicker via the King's Road. But either way, Jace is like, I'm going to do my own thing, dude. You kind of don't blame him, but that is a sign of weakness if your cabinet is not kind of doing, not doing things and not telling you.
Well, I mean, here's the other thing. I mean, you say it's a sign of weakness, but even though it was done with the right intentions,
yes,
it's still, let's not sugarcoat it, it's technically treason what Jace does.
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a little bit of light treason to start the day. He goes off and makes plans that maybe are going to be counter to whatever Rhaenyra decides, and now she's kind of stuck with it, or she's going to piss off the phrase. So this is it's not great. She's being, her own family is like, no, I got this.
And we saw this a bit on Game of Thrones when people would come to Daenerys, like when the Greyjoys did, and they said, "Hey, we'll fight with you. You just help us." Like it's this, the kind of backroom deals that are getting done. The Freys are like, "Hey, we want Harrenhal." Now, what's funny is we've all seen Harrenhal, and everybody should be like, "Yeah, you want it? You got it. Fine, just bend the dang thing." But is everybody, everybody, even though they're dragons, everybody is still negotiating. We see it with Daemon in these Brackens and Blackwoods. It's like, I've got a dragon, he's going to kill you. And he does kill the guy, but even that doesn't immediately solve the problem, right? You still got to find a way to get these people to fight for you. I mean,
yeah, it's super tough. Like I said, they're down.
So do you want to go to Harrenhal? And I mean, talk about it, not actually go there. I know you don't want to go to Harrenhal.
Thank God.
But do you want to talk about it? Because it does have a couple of great characters in Daemon, Simon Strong, and I'll even give Alice Rivers. She sets the mood pretty well too. And you know what? All these Rivermen, they're great too. The people sitting at the table when Daemon's having his freak out. The kind of the dare I say it, the flyover people of Harrenhal, they're all great. So this is the
Riverlands flyover country.
I'm saying, Daemon, you think it's gone from bad to worse when you're having a wet dream of having sex with your mom, who said, "If only you'd been born first, my favorite son." I mean, this is some horrific imagery.
Holy cow! Now, Simon Strong is talking about all the stuff that needs to be done to fix up Harrenhal.
Let's hear it. Yeah.
Not the least of which is someone's got to get. Bubba, I thought for a second, if only they had modern technology, they could put that bat guano to use. Isn't bat guano good for? Don't people use bat guano for?
Yeah, burns,
energy or I don't know. Well. Yeah. I mean, basically, it's a dump. It's just a dump, and all the work that's going to be done, it's like, and then he's like, we're going to have to put in so many bids for subcontractors, the whole thing. Yeah. And Daemon says, it's hilarious. Daemon thinks, okay, I got this deal done. He's like, prepare for a great host to show up at Harrenhal. And I was like, Bubba, they better bring their camping equipment because they're just going to get dumped.
Prepare for a great host. That might be less crazy than having a wet dream with your mom. I mean, what's he thinking about here?
I mean, if I wanted to impress somebody, I wouldn't let them come anywhere near Harrenhal. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, Harrenhal's too busy for you to come right now.
Oh, come on, I need to go.
No, you're not cool enough for Harrenhal, man.
Okay, but as bad as this place is,
yeah,
is it that I have to keep reminding the people under me, hey, remember, just call me king, okay? His Grace, king. You don't need to add any consort to it. That last bit seems unnecessary. I mean, hashtag
I mean, as you
leadership.
said, Bubba, he's basically been saying to the guy the whole time, like, you're not giving me the right title. And he's like, oh, okay, all right. But then he keeps not saying it. In other words, he doesn't,
right.
Simon's like, I'm not going to push him on it, but also on the other hand, I'm not going to call him the title. And so basically, Simon Strong pushes Daemon into a corner, and he's like, this is how it's going to be. And you said it already. Once I come back, I'm going to do my thing.
Yeah.
And then when I come back, instead of, it's still going to be 1A and 1B. No, it's going to be more like 1A and 1D, but I'm going to be 1A now.
Oh,
so that's what he says.
Yo, I know we kind of talked about the phrase already, but I do want to say that we know how people who watch Game of Thrones may feel about House Frey and that family. But I got to give them their due. There's we fear a lot of things, but you know what we really fear? Vhagar. And let me say, that's correct. Of all the fear, if you're listing things you got to fear, the big dog, Vhagar. That should be number one.
But I love, and this just goes to show, when you want the fist in the velvet glove, right? Unlike Daemon, which is just the fist with the spikes on it. The fist in the velvet glove, Jace is like, you're worried about Vhagar when he's all the way over there, and my dragon is right here behind me, ready to breathe fire on you? He doesn't say that last part, but well implied in the look on her face when she realizes they're being slightly threatened is precious. And then he says, now this is the technical thing, right? Because you as we've seen, you can't be loosey-goosey. All these petty lords and ladies, they know how to strike a deal. Yep. So they said, do you offer us your protection? Jay says, I do, in the protection of my uncle. And they're Willow worried now. Are you sure we're all in here? Are you sure we're all in? We've heard some things. He said he'll do as the queen commands, but they would also want Harrenhal, because who doesn't want Harrenhal? Now, okay, so Jace here is maybe promised more he can deliver, but at least he asks for a lot. He's like, okay, well, for Harrenhal, have fun. Right. You're going to have to bend the knee. So it's not just help. It's going to be basically you are going to put not your lives, but the lives of all your peasants and fighters on the line for us.
Right. The protection of my uncle. I would really wonder about that protection if I was House Frey. Yeah. Now, speaking of his uncle Daemon, this is a line he says to Alice, because Alice is kind of pointing out a bit what Mysaria has been pointing out. The small folk, the common man, is going to get screwed in these fights. And what Daemon says is the realm will really suffer if Aemond One Eye rules. And I have to be honest, Aemond hates his family. But I kind of think Aemond actually could be okay ruling for the whole, ruling for all the realm, and possibly certainly better than Daemon. Daemon is just flighty right now. He seems like he's on drugs. He's having these trips. I kind of think that Aemond, once again, he may kill the rest of his family, but I kind of think he would be better for the realm than certainly Daemon would. That's my thought.
Yes, I think he would be. I think many, many, many people would be fine rulers of this kingdom without killing and or barbecuing thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of small folk. It's not like no one is going to be Joffrey, and that is the greatest ruler that ever lived. Can only be, there's Joffrey and then there's everybody else. But I mean, none of these people who could potentially rule seem like particularly that they're going to be cruel to the small folk, or it's just they're going to play their little games up at the top, but that may not affect the small folk so much. Now, saying all that, we're going to get into this later. Aemond does make some decisions that maybe aren't great. But again, if he
I
was
think one of them was a real bad decision.
If he wasn't in a war, he wouldn't be pushed in these kind of decisions. So I think Aemond would be fine. I think Aegon would be fine. Alicent would be fine. Otto Hightower would be fine. Rhaenyra, Rhaenys, Corlys, all these people would be fine. They would be fine. Whatever. We got, in hundreds of years, we're going to have to fight the White Walkers. Big whoop.
Speaking of somebody who may not be fine, once again, cranky old Sir Alfred Broom, he's sent by Rhaenyra to go talk to Daemon. She's sick of waiting for him. She, she even tells Sir Alfred, reason with him. And I thought, oh yeah, that'll go over well, real well. Reasoning with Daemon. And her words for Daemon, though, are, tell Daemon I'd like to finish our last conversation. Wasn't their last conversation, do you respect me as your queen? Kind of, wasn't that the last thing they said before he stormed out?
I mean, you know what, if you're serious about wanting to have a conversation with somebody, you don't send someone else. You take care of it yourself. Okay. If, on the other hand, you're sick of senior sick of Sir Alfred's shit, send him to Daemon and have him start an argument with Daemon, and we'll see how that works. Although the way Daemon's happening right now, Alfred might end up just dissing him, because that is the national sport of Harrenhal.
It feels like, I guess they don't really say it, but it feels like, yes, Corlys is going to be hand of the queen. You agree? You think that's what they signaled when he? I
agree. I think Baela introduced it. Was like, you just suck it up. She makes a great comment. She's like, you have a choice. Yeah, you want to go to King's Landing? You can do that. You can't. It's like you can you can be in power. Be part of the power structure here or the power structure in King's Landing. This is what happens when you're the mother flipping Lord of the Seas. Like, you don't get to sit things out.
But I mean, once again, as we mentioned last week, he's now lost his wife, his daughter. Luke he considered his grandson. He doesn't know that his son is still alive. He thinks he's lost his son. I mean, Corlys not doing well. He's like looking for an heir, and Baela even says, nah, dude, I'm not your heir. Get somebody who's of the seas. Ouch.
Well, hey, listen. Yeah. This is, we touched on this a little bit earlier. With the conversation that Jace and Rhaenyra have, like, all right, let's find us some half-breeds or something. Well, I mean,
Ancestry.com.
So for Corlys has, we know that Corlys has his bastard son. That Rhaenys was like, you should give him a real name. But it's funny, Bubba, to think these ideas should not become mainstream, because they are not mainstream in Game of Thrones, which we see hundreds of years later, right?
You are 100% correct. Now, Ned Stark took in his bastard son and had him part of the house, but he was not going to inherit anything, certainly not anything like a powerful weapon of his own, a dragon. But what do you think of this plan? Hey, you've got some Targaryen in you. Go up to that dragon and see if you can ride it. Rest in peace. Nice knowing you, cuz. Hey, cuz. They said they got dragons, so,
I didn't realize that they had a whole bunch of them just that they were just feeding, and these dragons are just chilling, waiting.
They live in this cave. Hey, have at it. Hey, do you have white hair? Yes, but that's because I'm old. Close enough. Walk in the cave. See if you can.
That looks like a bad dye job. You go down.
Yeah. All right, let's get to Team Green. They, like I said, it felt like in the episode less, but they start off on a victory parade. But even, who is it? Allison's brother saying, strange victory, if it was one. I mean, the king's coming back, if not in a coffin, he's coming back in a darn wooden pine box. And one thing I thought was fascinating is that the way the show presents it, the common man of King's Landing, the poor who are in these soup lines, they're not celebrating. They're not like going, oh, this is great. We won this war. Look at this dead dragon. Instead, they're like, mark my words, it is a black omen. Everybody's like, oh, hey, dragons are gods. No, you just
that was
it's just meat.
Huge son. Yeah, just meat.
Dang.
I mean, this is not good. The rat catchers are still up. Oh, yeah, God.
But they come down at the end of the episode.
They do, but Bubba, you're forgetting with the timing of everything. They've only really been up for half an hour. They shouldn't have even had time to rot yet.
Now, Alicent This is her boy. This is her son, Aemond. But she's there up on the castle walls.
Aegon.
No, I'm saying when she's standing next to her son, Aemond, and she sees him wearing that dagger that King Viserys always had. And we know that the dagger has the prophecy of A Song of Ice and Fire on it. And she is looking at her son like, what the hell happened to you? And later she's on like, what has he become? And then she goes to Kristen Cole in his room when he was sexily sharpening his sword, metaphorically. No, literally, he was sharpening his sword. And she's like, what happened? Kristen Cole, His Grace fought valiantly. She says, and Aemond, what was his part in this? Kristen Cole, I cannot say. Ooh, what do you think? Does Kristen know that he's now partnered with Hand of the King to a one bad mother?
A potential kinslayer?
Yeah.
Well, all he knows is this. He knows that Aemond showed up late for the fight.
He did. That's correct.
Now, I can only imagine, it's funny, just a short while ago, I said this shortly before the Ratcatchers got hung up, that people probably saw what was going on. But now that I think about it, if there are two dragons in the sky fighting, I'm probably looking, hiding. Or fighting.
Right.
I'm not
right.
looking.
The eyes in the back of my head as I'm running the opposite way. Yeah.
I am not watching what's going on there. There's a fight going on. The only reason I would watch is to see, like, am I far enough away? So maybe Kristen Cole suspects something, but I think Kristen Cole also knows, they left Aegon behind for a reason. Aemond is the badass here.
Oh, yeah. Well, Aegon, still titled King Aegon, he hasn't woken. The Grand Maester says he may never wake. His fate lies with the gods. What did you think of his injuries? Were they gruesome enough? How did you describe that infamous pus again?
The pus was squelching.
Oh, geez. Not
pus.
Good. Not good.
It was not good. Listen, I think if we had him in an ICU, a really well-known burn unit,
sure.
I think he'd be fine. I'm not sure what they have there at King's Landing at this time that is comparable to a burn unit. So I'm a little concerned.
He's not doing well. And so in the small council, Alicent,
she pushes for herself. She makes a good reasoned case. But Bubba, I want to ask you a question here. If you got the sense that I did, I had the feeling that this decision was not made at the time we were watching this scene, but that the decision was really made before this small council.
Well, Larys, did you really watch Larys? And I'll admit I didn't really focus on him. Like, did he stand up and try to defend Alicent? Alicent had Larys. Alicent had Kristen. They were like under her. They were her team. And neither of them.
Larys is so cool now. Now that he is the Whisperer, he's not standing. He's sitting in a very relaxed manner. And he's a lot more comfortable than Kristen Cole saying,
oh, boy,
it's Aemond. Kristen Cole, he hems and haws a little bit. He doesn't want to give up the sweet stuff.
I guess I would say it like this. You say, when was that decision made? I'm not going to say for everybody at the War Council, but for me, if I was at that small council and it's like, who's going to replace King Aegon, while he's incapacitated, I'd be like, that dude's dragon just killed Meleys and Rhaenys. Well, I'm not going to upset him. I'm not going to say anything but, yes, sir. How high should I jump, sir? Should I keep jumping, sir? I mean, whoa.
What I'm asking you is if you got the sense that I did, that this was already a fait accompli before this meeting. And I only say that because...
I do, but I don't know if it was made like days ago.
Okay, well, no. Whatever.
It couldn't have been because Aegon just got injured, right?
No. But Robert, what I'm saying is, like, in other words, I think if you want to be the person who's picked king, and you sit in the meeting where that happens and you smartly say nothing and let other people make your case, that seems to me like you're pretty confident it's going to go your way, like you may know already.
No, that's true. Okay, that's a good point. That is a really smart point there, Catfish. And then it has that shot I mentioned as one of my favorite moments of Alicent just fuming. Now, while this is going on, they mention the unrest in the city. And we didn't mention this when talking about Team Black. Myseria's plan seems to be like, hey, stir up the unrest, get it, make them uncomfortable in their house is what I really think her plan is. But, they don't mention any unrest. I'll say one move that I think, now in control Aemond says that's pretty smart is somebody cut down the rat catchers. Like that I do agree. Like, hey, let's do that.
Finally, they've been up there for over an hour.
Now, Catfish, you mentioned that this show, more than Game of Thrones, we are spending time with the small folk. To be honest, this Hugh guy may be middle class. He's making scorpions to shoot down dragons. But now they don't.
Now he's not middle class now since he didn't get paid for any of that work, and he already outlaid the materials. Right. So and also his kid not doing so well.
His wife is yelling at him. She's like, he's like, hey, the king promised payment. She's like, the king lied, and she's like, stay and wait for his empty promises, husband. Ouch. They tried,
and then well, hold on, Bubba. And then she suggests the most horrible thing that can happen in a relationship.
Uh-oh, let's hear it.
She says, we can go stay with my sister.
You're right. That's enough. He's like, okay, we need a divorce. But later, they do try to get out of Dodge. But guess what? One of the decisions that Aemond made that sounds terrible is lock the gates. Nobody in. Nobody out. Not good. This is a weird decision that he makes here. I don't know what he's worried about. Where do people think they're going to go? I mean, this isn't like someone can hop on a plane and go somewhere. They got a long, long way to walk to someplace that maybe isn't being blockaded. True, but if let's think of it, and I don't know medieval warfare, but you do need human beings to run a city, to run a castle, to run everything. And if everybody's leaving the city because they think it's about to get dive bombed by some dragons, how are you going to run your city? How are you going to run your castle? How are you going to run anything? So I do think it kind of makes sense.
Okay.
Maybe, I'm not sure. Medieval historians, write to us at WBHQ and let us know. Now, Kristen Cole, who I've been a huge defender of, at the end of last week, we saw him pretty shook. He is still shook. Alicent approaches Kristen Cole. She's like, what's going on? And to be honest, he's in shell shock. He's got PTSD. Their armor melted. Men are walking as they melt. Men are on fire. We've given the war to the dragons. And then he's even trying to spin this decision of not putting her in charge by saying, have I not spared you? What we now must do is terrible. Do you want to be in charge of all this terrible stuff? I've got, in some ways, I think that actually does kind of make some sense. Like, whoever's going to be in charge is going to be overseeing the equivalent of a nuclear war, right?
I agree. It's going to.
Does Alicent want that?
Be horrible. I'm not sure, to be honest with you, the difference between Rhaenyra and Alicent. Rhaenyra was brought up, again, she mentions that she wasn't brought up to lead for war, but at least she's really the heir.
That's true.
I can understand why she would be upset to be marginalized. I would think, and I know this sounds weird, but like considering the way this world is, that Alicent is surprised that this kind of decision gets made. Again, the only reason why that Rhaenyra is in charge, even though she's a woman, is because supposedly she was picked as the heir. I mean, not supposedly, she was picked as the heir by Viserys. People saw all that. So, and even then people have questions. So it's kind of weird that Alicent is surprised to be, the baby put in the corner.
Well, Alicent, in her mind, her husband was really kind of out of it for, you want to say, a decade maybe? And we did see she was kind of sitting in his seat. She was making a lot of these decisions. And when she was his wife and he was king, you could see how people listened to her. But now that she's not tied to the actual king as a wife, instead she's tied to, as a mother. Like, what's so interesting is that could Helena do what Alicent did? So like Alicent's husband, the king, was incapacitated due to health. She kind of stepped in and did lead. And now she thinks she did a good job. She probably did do a good job. Wants to do it again. She's not allowed to. Helena couldn't do that. Nobody would listen to her. They did actually, from what it looked like, listen to Alicent. Now, maybe because her dad was also hand of the king. So it was like, 2 for 1, but still.
Well, also she still had the king to backstop her. She had his power because he was still alive and no one could get to him except through her. So that's why she had the power.
Now, Helena knows, somehow she knows. She comes up to her brother, Aemond, and asks him, was it worth the price? We don't hear Aemond's answer. What do you think he would say? Hell yeah!
I mean, he doesn't need to say anything. The look in that scene as he's looking at the throne.
Oh yeah.
Basically, the look he gives her is like, he did it in High Valyrian, but he did it in a pitch that was too high to hear. So I was able to slow it down and bring it down that I could, and I was able to also translate it, Bubba. So he actually did respond to her, and his answer was 10 times over, yes.
Alicent sits next to her oldest son, her firstborn, Aegon's side. He is breathing, so good news there.
Mm-hmm. He's but right now he's what I like to call double K.
I'm worried. Double K.
Yeah, crispy king.
Oh man, that's so sad. Let's get to match game number 3. Okay, since we're gonna be doing terrible jokes, let's get to some more terrible jokes. Here's match game number 3. Catfish, the phrase are so greedy.
How greedy are they?
They asked not just for Harrenhal, they also wanted blank.
Boom. All right, let's hear it. I'm ready to answer.
I may not be, but okay, sure. Let's hear it.
Well, get ready. Boy.
Sorry, I just an answer literally just came in as I was about to read it. So you ready? The phrase are so greedy.
How greedy are they?
They asked not just for Harrenhal, they also wanted
a castle with a roof.
It's an either or. Listen, you get one. You can't ask for both.
That's how greedy they are. All right, here we go, Bubba. I'll read it for you. Okay, the phrase are so greedy.
How greedy are they?
They asked for not just Harrenhal. They also wanted
Robb Stark to marry one of their daughters. Like they're always going to ask for it each time.
I love it, Bubba. All right, let's see if we get lucky with any of the matches, yes, Bubba. All right, here we go. All right, I'll read it. I'll read the question. You can read some of the answers.
Sure.
The phrase are so greedy. They asked for not just Harrenhal. They also wanted
a great granddaughter to marry off to as a third wife to a future descendant. All right, here we go.
So good. That was Helen Huntpants at Huntpants.
Yes.
All right, Bubba. Match Tesla. Link Hardthrob says they asked for not just Harrenhal. They also wanted
a player to be named Layer.
Those are always tricky. They can be a
player to be named later. That's pretty good. He also sent us two answers. So Link Hogthrob also said they also wanted a new table. That's a good point. That table looked like a door. Very good. Very good.
Yeah. I was wondering about that. When the first scene, I literally thought it was that Home Improvement show with Tim Allen. I'm like, are they talking over a fence? When they shot it low, it looked really weird. All right, here we go.
Oh, this one's good. I like this one.
They asked for not just Harrenhal, they also wanted
Heron Kitchen, Heron Dining Room, and the Great Heron Bidet.
Yes, that is at Nicholas Fortuna. All right, good. And the phrase is so greedy, they asked for not just Harrenhal, they also wanted
Manderley Pie. Now that's from our friend Matt at Before the Dragon Pod on Twitter. And that is a spoiler for, I'm pretty sure, the book version of A Dance with Dragons. So no spoilers there, Matt, for books, but still pretty humorous. Very good.
All right.
Oh, no.
Dooley's left legs really took the greediness to another level.
Okay,
he said they asked for not just Harrenhal. They also wanted 5 dragons, Flea Bottom's finest dominatrix, Tristan's Hole's head on a stick, all the major houses south of the wall, and a holiday home in Pentos.
Man, Dooley, I want you negotiating with us on our raises here at Double P Podcast. Thank you so much.
Bubba, get the bell ready. Not for
go.
us, but for some of our clever, loyal listeners.
Let's
they
hear it.
asked for not just Harrenhal, they also wanted Harren Lounge, Harren Kitchen, and Harren Library. That is Endless Mike 03 getting together with Nicholas Fortuna. I love it.
Incredible. If you are listening to this and you have some match games, please let us know. We are going to read some match game answers from last week that are just brilliant. We're doing this because we want to participate with you guys. We always bore you with our begging for feedback, but really it's just because you guys are why we do the podcast, and we love talking to you. All right, councilman ready. Put your ball in the dish. It's the small council debate. So here we go, Catfish. Question 1.
All right.
Who should rule in King's Landing for Team Green? Allison, Amy, Aemond, Larry's, somebody else? Who do you think they should have as their kind of person making all the tough calls in King's Landing? Who should Team Green have?
Bubba, I'm going to pitch for a double T.
Double T?
Yeah, terrific twosome.
Oh.
We got to put Aemond on top there.
Okay.
But Kristen Cole seems to have lost his backbone. So what I need for Hand of the King is now I'm going to need Larys to do double duty because he is able to, he turns on Allison without any compunction. He's like, look, I got my foot thing, but like business is business.
I'm going to stand on business with this bad foot.
So I want this terrific twosome, Larys, Hand of the King, to Aemond. What about you, Bubba? Who do you think should roll?
I think those are good answers. I'm gonna give you 2 answers, that one serious, one really serious. So my serious answer is I actually think that, and maybe I'm saying this just because he's been off the show for 3 episodes now, I think they should bring Otto back. Say what you will about Otto, and everybody has said things, pimping his daughter, all the things you say about Otto. He does seemingly have the gravitas to be the person. Otto does a lot of things you wouldn't like as a leader, but if he were to stand up there and kind of say, hey, we're doing this, I think he would come across with gravitas. And so for my serious answer, I'm going to go Otto. But for my very serious answer, there's only really one answer of who should rule in King's Landing for Team Green. Mm-hmm. Vhagar. Like literally whatever Vhagar wants, Vhagar gets. So I'm saying Vhagar.
And this is why I could see Otto come back as Hand of the King, but not any higher than that. Because let's face it.
Okay.
Aemond is your WMD here. So are you going to be able to control him? Like you said, he's already not going out and doing something that we think is smart, but he thinks is reckless, like ending this war right now. Yeah. So basically, I think, whoever it is, you need Aemon's buy-in, and the only person that Aemond is going to accept as king is Aemond.
That is 100% true. Listeners, if you're on Team Green, and I know some of you aren't on Team Green at all, but if you were, who do you think should be ruling?
All right, Bubba, question 2. Is King Daemon a traitor to Rhaenyra?
100% he's a traitor. What he has done, is bad enough that he went to Harrenhal. She never told him, go to Harrenhal and raise an army for me. She never once gave him that command. So that's good
because he did not go to Harrenhal to raise an army for her.
That's true. But then number 2, he's not writing. There is no reason he shouldn't be sending ravens. There's no reason. Heck, he's got a dragon in this imaginary world. You probably could fly what, 5 or 6 hours from Harrenhal to Dragonstone and back? Like, you could do it. Like, he is traitorous.
But he's risking a DWI in his present state. That's dragoning while intoxicated.
Very much so. And then finally, like I said, he's been hinting at this all so often, but now he's flat out said it. He is a traitor. He is going for the throne. That is betraying your spouse. Technically, she should take his head. Now, she doesn't know this yet, but I would wonder if she finds out what he said. Do you think, well, you're my husband, you get a pass this one time, or would she kill him? I mean, the Game of Thrones. Let me go back to Game of Thrones: A Song of Ice and Fire. One thing that George R.R. Martin loved doing, especially in the Game of Thrones book, is you're killed by your allies. Now, these are spoiler for Game of Thrones. Hopefully, everybody knows this, but the phrase "were Rob's ally." Tywin's son was Tyrion. That's who killed him. Like, you're always the mountain who was created by Qyburn. Who killed Qyburn? The mountain. Like, this is how it works. It's your allies are the ones who do you. Even last week, even though it's not directly from Fire and Blood, who got Aegon? His ally, Aemond, his brother. And so in a typical world, you would be like, well, who's going to get Daemon? Maybe his wife. Or maybe he gets his wife. I mean, So you tell me, is there any way is Daemon a traitor? Yes or no? And is there any way he should be forgiven by Rhaenyra? What do you think?
Yes, I agree he's a traitor, but yes, he should be forgiven because he has been dosed with some heavy, powerful shit, man. He is having a lot of weird stuff happen to him.
Okay,
now,
sure.
Granted, when he came, he was a little on edge.
He was.
But he is like super over the edge. Now, that being said, he still kind of makes a smart decision by saying, no, I'm not going to burn them because these guys are great fighters. But then he makes the bad decision. Look, I want you to wage Nick Nolte in this horrible movie about the 40s. He's supposedly being the police chief of Los Angeles. And he says about these guys going against the gangsters. He says, I want you to wage guerrilla warfare on these gangsters. That is what Daemon told these guys, to wage guerrilla warfare, and they are not happy about it.
Listeners, what do you think? Is Daemon a traitor? Yes or no? I think the answer is yes, and it's almost unforgivable. But hey, we want to hear from you.
All right, here's the third question now. I watch it now, Bubba. Don't know why, but I watch a lot of reality fix up your home shows.
Yeah.
And Bubba.
Yeah.
Harrenhal needs to be on one of these shows. So which were the Property Brothers? They come in and they fix it up. But then there's this other show called Fix It or Flip It, where they have two people. One of them fixes up your house while the other one searches for another house. And at the end, you decide, well, do I want to go in my remodeled house or do I want to go to this completely new house? So, Bubba, which reality home fix-it show should Harrenhal be on? The Property Brothers or Fix It or Flip It?
Well, Catfish, let's talk this through.
Mm-hmm.
What is the parent company of HBO?
Warner Brothers.
Warner Discovery.
Yeah, sorry, Warner Discovery. Okay.
Thank you. And who are the biggest stars of Warner Discovery? Chip and Joanna Gaines. So I pulled up right now one of the top 25 Joanna Gaines quotes. And so you ready?
Yeah.
Whether you're in an 800 square foot home or living in a dream house on a lake, contentment is found on the way. Now, Harrenhal is on a lake, and it is a dream house where Daemon's having a lot of dreams.
And apparently it's on the way to everywhere.
So therefore, Chip and Joanna Gaines have to fix it up. That's who I say. Fix up Harrenhal. Let's go, Chip. You're a contractor. Let's roll.
Bubba.
Yeah.
I am as the Fix It Home Show professional here.
Oh, okay,
I'm going to nix that all together because the last thing is that we need is for Harrenhal to be coated with shiplap all over the inside.
Okay, so who
we got
which
3 tons of shiplap. Well,
okay.
Bubba, I always say it's nice to have choices, right? So instead of someone coming in and going, okay, this is what we're gonna do, and then you look at the end and you're like, yeah, but you know what? I'm still just tired of driving to the same old place. I say fix or flip it. You got a choice. Harrenhal. Oh, you can maybe you're like, you know what? I'd rather have King Landing instead. Fix it or flip it, and then you can decide.
Just for that, I'm going to read another quote from Joanna Gaines.
Damn you.
That is very appropriate for the Harrenhal. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
If you can't find happiness in the ugliness, you're not going to find it in the beauty either. And the Harrenhal has got a lot of ugliness.
That makes no damn sense. All right, Bubba. Well, you know what? I bow to your the Warner Brothers Discovery Masters as you do.
Thank you.
I hope they're paying you well for this. So, Bubba, we still got some bits to do. And again, listeners, we want you to answer all those questions and answer these 2 questions. We got 2 last questions. First of all, is the team of the week. Every week we pick a team that either we like more what they did, or we're just like, this is the team that we would want to be on. So, Bubba, your team of the week, green or black?
Because they got most of the episode, I'm going to give it to Team Black. This is the exact same reason I gave them episode 3, and that is that they just feel underdeveloped compared to Team Green. Now, Team Green, say what you want. Yes, I know there's a Lannister on the small council. I know there's the Grand Maester, and there's also that guy, I think they call him Ironwood. I always forget the other guy on the Team Green small council. But the point is, I know almost all of them, but maybe one guy, I know he's got a beard. So Team Black, they need help. Sir Alfred Broom, I know he's grumpy, but now, hey, he's got a mission. He's got a side quest. He's going to go talk to Daemon. Jace, I know
it sounds like a perfect side quest for him.
I know that Jace has been a bit, frustrated and left out, and now they're giving him a bit of strategy that may work, may not work. Baela and Rhaena, we didn't talk about Rhaena, who has a very brief scene in the Eyrie. We didn't talk about, every time these shows give us a shot of the Eyrie there in the mountains in the Vale, it always looks different. It's like this castle, they showed it kind of 2 great shots of it in Game of Thrones, and then they were pretty different. And then this shot was pretty different. It's like, is this supposed to be the same castle that in 200 years is going to look a bit different? Who knows? So I'm going to give it to Team Black just for, like you said, Baela, Rhaena, Jace, Sir Alfred, I guess. Give them shading, give them character. Heck, even the fact that I mentioned that the knight, Sir Darklyn, is like, hey, I still want to, we got to do something because my family home was taken and they beheaded my dad. Even that is just like little moments that I think Team Black needs. So this week, Team Black.
Bubba, as you all know, I am a winner and I prefer winners. Okay. And Team Green was a winner this week. Oh, wow. They have lots of allies. Okay. The rat catchers have been cut down and people are dying to stay in King's Landing. On the other hand, what do we got? Team Black. Daemon's going nuts and being trash talked by Simon Strong and a random Bracken woman. The Team Black's going to make all kinds of deals. By the time they're done dealing, they will have given over Harrenhal the 5 different families. So this week, the team of the week, Team Green.
Okay. Well, how about your MVP of the week, Catfish? Which character on the show made the show sing, was perfect? Who are you going to give it to this week?
But there is only one MVP this week possible, and that is, of course, Simon Strong.
Oh, great. Yes.
He brings the diss to Daemon, and then when Daemon and Alice are having a conversation and he walks in, he also gives a funny look like, what is going on here? I mean, this boy is just like, he's like, whatever happens, this is what I appreciate about Simon Strong. Whatever happens, whoever's fighting, whatever's going on with Daemon, whatever's going on with everybody, he is still going to have his damn bloody goose, Bubba. He is still eating good. The castle's falling down around him, but you know what?
They don't have any gold, but I got to eat.
The one room that's in perfect condition is the kitchen, Bubba.
Hell yeah.
Simon Strong, MVP of the week. That's 100%. Mine, Bubba. There is no other right answer, but go ahead and give yours.
I think my MVP of the week is sometimes I give it to people who live the way I want to live. Mm-hmm. And so
retired,
who in bed resting. So King Aegon is my MVP of the week. I saw what he did this week, and I thought, I am so jealous. I just need a day where I just lay in bed and don't do anything. King Aegon, MVP. MVP.
All the milk of the poppy
MVP.
you can drink.
Oh, how terrible. How terrible.
Bring it.
Now, here's things that aren't terrible. We mentioned it all podcast long. We're going to end with some brilliant match game answers from last week.
Love it. Love it. All right. Okay. So, first, Bubba. Okay. So, Rhaenys Targaryen was called the Queen Who Never Was, but after the battle, she'll be known as the Queen Who
Will never flee a fight. Oh, that is Harley Camille.
But I think it shouldn't it be who never fleed a fight? Let's get the right verb tense there.
Who never was. No, come on. All right. So after the battle, she'll be known as the Queen who took a page out of Prince Lucerys's playbook. Got digested by Vhagar. Oh, that is from another true hero, Godless Key, Albert Godleski on Twitter. Oh boy, here we go. New answer. Ready? She'll be known as the Queen who uses seatbelts on dragons.
That is awesome.
Makes a lot of sense, John Constantine on Twitter. Thank you very much.
And also your brother, Joe Constantine, on Twitter.
Yes.
All right. And she'll be known as the Queen who never gave up. Oh, that is at Alpana_13 or Alpana. Excellent.
On Instagram. Thank you so much. Our good friend at Revere Terry gave us 3 possible answers for what the Queen's name is. And some of them are triple R. You ready?
Okay. All right. I'll say it. She'll be known as the Queen who
redesigned Rook's Rest.
Or the Queen who
put the rest into Rook's Rest.
Or the Queen who
got snookered at Rook's Rest.
Oh damn.
Yeah. So good at Revere Terry. Hilarious.
That is so good. I really like when you can't figure out which is the best one. So you're like, I'm just going to give you all.
They're all good. They're all pretty good.
All right. Excellent. And our good boy Link Hogthrob at Match Test Lab says she'll be known as the Queen who liked Tom Petty. Free falling.
And then Catfish, one of your favorites. It's our good buddy Satan Claus, who's at Claus Sons on Twitter. She'll be known as the Queen who was never s'more.
Man, we have Bubba, ring the bell. We have across 2 different questions. We have a s'more answer. That is so good. All right, we've got some for the next one. King Aegon was eager for war. Yet after the battle, King Aegon said the war was fine dragons on both sides. That's endless Mike 03.
Oh my God, so good.
Maybe he meant fire dragons. Anyway, dragons on both sides.
There were fine dragons on both sides.
There were fine dragons on both sides. Yes, okay, sorry, I messed that up. King Aegon was eager for war. Yet after the battle, King Aegon said the war was
a little too crispy, not enough coal.
Again. A Godless Key, Albert Godleski, and then Match Tesla said King Aegon said the war was
a bad idea. Keep it simple. Like that works. What was the war? It was really, really, really not too good.
Not a good move. All right. King Aegon was eager for you after the battle. King Aegon said the war was a real downer, or like having your eggs overcooked. We've got Aegon. We got an Aegon joke again. Ring the bell, Bubba.
I like actually a real downer. That's pretty good to me, I say.
All right. I love it. All right. Daemon Targaryen wanted tea to help him sleep. Instead, Alice Rivers gave him a mug of mushroom tea, says Camille Harley. Oh, okay. Okay. I'm going to say this.
You get this one? This is pretty smart.
Daemon Targaryen wanted tea to help him sleep. It said Alice Rivers gave him a mug of Alvatine.
Yes, because Alice said she was an owl in human form. Very good from our good friend at Revere Terry on Twitter. Oh my gosh.
Excellent job. Holy cow, Bubba. Is that it? Are we done with the season? What a good season this was.
It's been a great season. No, Catfish. We are past the halfway point, but we have, count them, 4 episodes left.
There's 9 episodes?
No,
we have 3 episodes left.
3
Bubba.
episodes left. Okay.
This was a test of your emergency milk of the poppy system, and you failed.
All right, Catfish. How many match games are there left? There are
0,
9 match
Bubba.
games. Oh wait,
Oh
yeah,
my
none
God, there are
left in
9.
this
Oh, sorry,
podcast.
sorry. Okay, yeah, none. You're right. There are 9
Okay,
match
hey,
games left.
my name's Bubba. You can mock my math on Twitter at Fit and Trim. That's FITTENTRIM at Fit and Trim on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads.
And I am Catfish. If like me, your new hero is Simon Strong, you can hit me up at G to the man. That's GETOTHEMAN on Instagram and Blue Sky.
Yes.
And we will talk to you next week on
the Joffrey of podcast. Hey, Catfish.
Yeah.
Who are you going to pick, Larys or Simon Strong? Larys Strong or Simon Strong? Who you got? Who's your favorite?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I got to see them both eat, and I'm not talking about toes.
All right, we'll talk about that answer on next week's podcast. Night, everybody.